Hello, Nomad Sculpt and Morphinapp. So animation, and so this video is about how to prepare such a head, and in this case only the mouth, so that we get a morph target to animate the mouth like this. So I show you so that you can achieve something like this here. Sorry, I have to press this. This is only a rough video, how it could look like, and really not perfect. I did it in a few minutes only to demonstrate something here. So here in Nomad Sculpt, so this mesh has a layer, so and there's a morph target or a layer on it, so that you can animate the mouth. So you can do it much better if you spend much more time to refine everything, but it looks like this. Okay, but so I delete this and I make this mesh visible, so I think we don't need this also. So this is here the mesh I started with. So it's a complete solid object, and no mouth and no layers. So it looks like this. And the poly count is at the moment 229,000. So how do I start? First, I check the symmetry for this thing and I split and mirror the mesh. And here at the bottom, I choose a resolution like this and I press remesh. So this remesh is for later, that we always have the same mesh density because we split the mesh here. And so, and now I go in the side view, and so perspective is off, so orthographic view. So I use the right view, and so now I'm using here the split tool here. This is the default split tool only with the other icon. So this icon is my own icon, but the tool is the same. So I use here the lasso, and here the mode is legacy. So like this. So I place here my object and I start here at the mouth here, and I split here around like this to split the jaw. So I turn here in the top menu the outline on. Okay, now we split it the jaw, and I'm using now the solo view. And when you turn on the wireframe, you see the split has a different topology like the rest of the mesh. So now we press voxel remesh, and so the density is the same as before. This is what we want. So I check here also the symmetry. So now I use the trim tool here, and I activate now the symmetry here. Okay. So, and I trim here something like this. And again, I always press voxel remesh. So in between. So I do a few steps and then I press voxel remesh. So for this here, I use now the clay tool and now the sub function here at the side menu. And I adjust my brush, and I'm sculpting here a little bit. So only rough. As I said, you can spend much more time for this. So now I change the mode to sub mode off, and the radius a little bit bigger, and I'm brushing here along these parts here like this. And I'm also brushing at the back side to get a little bit more volume. So something here like this. So again, at the bottom, voxel remesh. So now I'm leaving the solo view and I'm checking the whole thing a little bit. So a little bit smoothing is okay, so a little bit refining, so it's okay. So the next thing is we need the other part of the head. So I use solo view again, and you see here different topology. So here I press voxel remesh and everything is fine. So again here I'm using here the clay tool, sub. So, and I'm sorry, I have to undo because I forgot the symmetry. So this is the mouth cavity, I think this is the word for it. So now I change the mode, sub mode off, and I'm brushing here like this. So again I press a voxel remesh and a little bit more volume. So then it looks a little bit like this here. Also for the lips here a little bit more. Okay. Again voxel remesh. So maybe we need only a representation of some teeth or something. So I use for this a mask tool here, a smaller radius like this. So, and I mask here only the teeth here like this. And here in the mask extraction, so here I set a height, a little bit smoothness, and so these are the settings, and then I press extract. So for the other mesh I can clear the mask, and so I select now this mesh and I scale it a little bit. So you can do it much cleaner and nicer and so on. So I voxel remesh the whole thing and I turn the symmetry on. Now I'm using the move tool. So, and a little bit refining here. I think it's okay. So now we have two meshes, so I select both here and I join it at the moment. So yeah, maybe we can also voxel remesh it. I tried with a voxel remesh, so maybe it works. So this is this mesh, and now the other mesh. So I do the same. Mask, smaller radius, and let's see what we get. It's okay. So again, gizmo, a little bit scaling. Then for this mesh I clear the mask. And also here I clear the mask. So move tool. I think it's okay. Select both, voxel remesh. So now I'm leaving the solo view, and here in the material settings you can change the material to additive. Then you can look through the mesh and you see here your mouth cavity here. So, and now checkbox inverse culling and two-sided. And then it's possible, when you use here the move tool, to sculpt inside the mesh. So like this here. So when you're happy with this, so then change the settings back to opaque, two-sided off, inverse culling off. So then it should be fine. So solo view like this, and then a little bit smoothing to make everything a little bit nicer. Okay. The other mesh, I do the same, a little bit smoothing. So let's see the whole thing here. Here at this position here, so I'm using the move tool, and I move the mesh a little bit so that it's closed. So I check everything a little bit, that the overlapping is correct and so on. Okay, so it's fine. So for the animation part, so when I select here my gizmo and my pivot point, so when you rotate here the mouse, you can open it like this here, but you can also adjust here on the left side the pivot point a little bit and bring it in another position, maybe like this here where the bone in real life is. So now you can open the mesh a little bit like this. It's possible for the for the layer here, for the morph target. So, and how to do this now? So at the moment here we have no layer, so we need now a layer. No movement at the moment, so add layer. So, and here you find here an option here for the target, and change this target to vertex. So now when you use the gizmo tool and you rotate the mesh a little bit, then the movement is on the layer. So this is fine. So then I change it back to the default behavior, don't forget it. So, and now I'm using the move tool, and I move some parts back like this. So this is a nice smiling, I think. Okay, and the top head, so I also create a layer, add layer, and I rename this as head 1. Sorry, head 1. Okay. So layer is active, and I use the move tool. So back. Maybe we make it a little bit here and a little bit the nose, and maybe a little bit the eyes. So only to demonstrate what happens. So when you use now the slider here like this, you get this effect here on the layer. Okay, so now remember, this is layer head 1, and on this mesh we rename it as head 2. Okay, so now I pick both meshes here, and I press voxel remesh. So sorry, we have to check the layer. So here, this layer, make sure that this layer is on this and here. So, And the problem at the moment is, you see here, the teeth are connecting, so we need a gap. We need a little bit more movement here, so I'm using here the move tool at the moment. So, and I bring the teeth a little bit more in another position, like this. So this is when we voxel remesh, that the meshes don't connect here. So then, because the merging of the meshes, then there are problems. So now it's possible to select both meshes and here press voxel remesh. So now we get one single mesh with two layers. This is this layer, and this is the other layer. Like this. So I want both expressions in one layer, so I press here merge down. So now when I use this, the whole face expression is on one layer. Okay, so the layer here is selected, and then I use a little bit the smooth tool, so to smooth here the mesh a little bit. So, and I test the layer again, maybe smooth here on the base layer, so change here the setting to the base layer and smooth it here a little bit, and so it's a little bit testing what happens. So yeah, I think it's fine. So this is okay. The next thing is here, I activate here the face groups for this whole thing. So a lot of different face groups here. And here is our face group palette here for this mesh. So I reset it, everything only one face group. So this is fine. So the next thing I check here is the gizmo. Oops. This is important here. I move the mesh to the origin here, check the values in the matrix, and I bake it. Okay. And then we need a much lower poly count. So at the moment 172,000. So we need to decimate the whole mesh. So here are the settings. I only preserve the geometry and 50%, so I decimate the mesh down. So now we have 5,000 vertices. And let's check the layer. Nice. Okay, our head, the face group is okay, the matrix is okay, and the position and should all be fine. So I'm saving here this one. And you see it's only 237 kilobyte. This is absolutely nothing. So the next step is I export. So here's only one mesh to export. It's okay. So export GLTF. Save. So I rename it as test 2. Save. Okay, now to Morphinapp. So I pause here the playback and sorry, I have to use my finger. save. And now I create a new scene. Okay, so here I enable the gestures that you can see what happens. So here I import this mesh. I think this one. So here is our head. So here I'm using a little bit, so a little bit other color maybe, and here for the head, so maybe only a little bit. So color and texturing is the other part. So, and here you see the morph target here. It works nice. So everything seems to be fine. So I'm changing the mode here to orthographic, and I'm using it as a side view. I like it more from this side. So here we can create a rig. So one bone is created here in the center of the mesh. So I place it somewhere here, and I make it a little bit smaller, or yes, I do it like this here. So here I want the head to bend like this here in this position here, and so we need a second bone here, such a child bone, this one, and here for scaling use always the purple ring, this one here. So scale the bone, and I bring it a little bit in position like this. Okay, so here turn the pose mode off, and now select your character, and here in the hierarchy there's you can set the checkbox here for the character, and now we have to go back to the mode here and select our bone here, the base bone, and now we can bind the mesh to the bones here, this option here, and there's a checkbox for weight all to current bone and then bind. So I press bind. Fine. Okay, so I select now here my mesh, and here I check the weight paint. So for this I have to check it a few times, because so the app is very new, and there are sometimes a few smaller bugs. So yeah, we have to select the mesh paint. So you see at the moment the whole head is red. This is okay. So we have to change the bone to the other bone. So I leave the mesh and I select this bone here. Come on. This is this bone, and this is the other bone. So I select this bone, weight paint mode, and now let's use the side view here, this aligned view, and here there's a gradient tool, and here we can change the size and the weight. So when you start here to drag at this position here and drag along this line, so I do it with my pencil, so you see here now the gradient appears. So you see here this red line, not red, this yellow line. So now you can set the gradient. So, and here when you change the size, then the gradient gets bigger, and the weight, when you change the weight, then the gradient is more like this. So, but we need a full red thing here. Sorry, this looks fine. Here at the top you find the apply option. Press apply. Sorry, I have to think to use my pencil. And then we can leave this weight paint feature here. So I select now my bone, and let's test the whole movement. It looks really fine. So one nice thing here is here you can reset the pose, and here you see here the ring, here the green ring, the blue ring, and so on, and the red ring. And when you pick here the ring, pick and drag here outside, then you have more control. So we need, so for this, so I drag it out, so I have here outside the ring my control point. So this looks nice. Okay, so let's start with a small animation. So I think everything is fine. Here we can use the animation button, and here we can set, here we can set a timer so that the recording starts in 3 seconds. When we press this button, 3 seconds, then the recording starts. And when we play back at the moment, it's really fast, so it's hard to control the speed here, and so we make it slower. Here you see such a clock. Here you can change the speed. So speed is at the moment 1, and 1 means normal speed. So for the recording I change this to 0.2 or 0.3 or 0.1. So I say okay, apply. So now when I play back here, it's much slower, the playback, but also the recording is slow. Okay, so select this one. So I press now here the record button, the timer appears. So it looks like this. So, okay. So when you change it now back to 1, normal speed, and play the whole thing. Yeah, it's not perfect. I'm not an animator. I started only a few days from today, so I can do it better, but not for this tutorial. So back to the pose here, and here you see your action folder here, and now it's possible when we select here the mesh. So come on, where is my head bust? So I think this one and not this one. So let's see here. Yeah, I think we are now on the mesh here. So where we use now the face expression. So I change now here the speed again to 0.2. The timer is active. So I press now the record button, and I pick here the slider. So now I animate the whole guy here, and yes. I hope you understand what I'm doing here. So this is fine. Changing back the speed to 1, and here you can go back to the start of the animation. So let's see what we got. So here we can hide the bone. So here is the opacity slider, and now the bone is hidden. And so let's play back. Yeah, I think we have had to re-record the first movement, and so yeah, but it looks like an animation. So this is about the mouth, and yeah, maybe I do more tutorials about something like this. So have fun with sculpting and animation. So ciao.